What's up, ISB youth? I'm so happy that you're here with me today. We're going to be speaking about standing strong in the face of opposition. One of the main points that I would like to speak about is when life gets difficult. Who here enjoys it when life gets difficult? I'm guessing that's no one. But when you go to the gym and you're doing weights with your arms and with your legs and you're cycling or whatever, then if it's easy, you're doing it wrong. Am I right? Because when it's easy, that means you're not getting any muscle whatsoever. Okay? And the same idea applies to real life because of God. Let's take Joseph for an example. Okay? He gets thrown into a pit. He gets sold off into slavery. In slavery, he does the right thing and goes to prison for it. And then after all of those, he becomes second in command of all of Egypt. Because he has a God-given gift to interpret dreams and the gift of wisdom. Okay? If it wasn't for those three experiences, he would have never been the second in command of Egypt, and he would be stuck taking hay from the field his whole life. Okay? Now, am I telling you this because bad things are good? No. But it's because what the enemy intends for evil, God will turn for good. The greater the opposition, the greater the opportunity for God to fight for you. Nehemiah 4 verse 14 says, "Don't be afraid of them. Remember the Lord, who is great and who is awesome, and fights for your families, your sons, daughters, and your wives and your houses." Okay? It's normally harder when we are actually doing something, rather than sitting around doing nothing. Often, when it's hard, it doesn't mean that we're doing something wrong. It means that we're doing something, as opposed to doing nothing. Okay? Then I got the wrong paper.
No worries, you can continue.
I'll
I'll cut it out.
Okay. So work with all of your heart. Working with all of your heart is way better than doing nothing. And just working, without all of your heart is worse than doing nothing. Because God cannot appreciate it when we don't work with all of our heart. Nehemiah 4 verse 6. So we rebuilt the wall until it reached half of its height. Okay, so that's not a big achievement because the first half's obviously easier than the second half. Okay? And the people worked with all of their heart. God appreciates it when you work with your whole heart, as I've said before. You will become weak at times, but just remember that God strengthens us. It's not through our own strength that we're doing this. If I go back to Joseph, if it was through his own strength that he was doing all of this, he would have made a mistake in the pit. He wouldn't have had a good attitude in the pit. He would have made a mistake in slavery. Therefore, he wouldn't have ever gotten to the prison, which led him to becoming second in command. And he would have never become second in command. That's basically like he would have messed up all of the points because he didn't have God's strength with him. Okay? Nehemiah 4 verse 10. Meanwhile in Judah, the strength of the laborers is giving out. And there is so much rubble that they cannot rebuild the wall, which is what everybody was thinking. Then, the enemies were also saying, before they know it or see us, we will be right there among them, and we will kill them and put an end to this work. So, look, even half a height of wall intimidated the other people because they know that as soon as, and they don't even believe in God, but they know as soon as everything comes together and Israel is back in the way it was, God will rule over them. And they will have a power beyond any other power. Because in other wars, they would go into the war with next to nothing on their side and still flatten the whole army because of God. Nehemiah 4 verse 12, even the Jews who lived near them said, wherever you turn, they will attack us. So nobody had faith in anything, basically. Don't listen to lies that people are telling you or empty threats. The enemy will tell you that you can't do it. Your friends will tell you that you can't do it. But if you listen to God, God will tell you, I am here with you. I will give you strength to do it. Nehemiah 4 verse 14. Don't be afraid of them. Remember that the Lord, who is great and awesome, will fight for your families, your sons, your daughters, your wives, and your homes. Fear of an event can often be worse than the event itself. Okay? I've got a little story. At the Ladies Camp, which is basically a young leaders camp for the Ignite leaders, when I was there, as a leader trying to train children as well, the leaders were playing pranks on other leaders and some of the children, and we had toothpaste in our faces and all of that from the first night. Then it came to the second night, and we were all fed up with these pranks. But then the pranksters were telling us, no, tonight, I remember last night we pranked like 4 of you guys, but tonight we're pranking all of you. Everyone is getting pranked, okay? Then 3 of us, my brother, Dirkie and I, all got together and we were like, okay, we're staying up the whole night. They can't prank us if we're not asleep, okay? We stayed up until about 3, and then we were out. That was it. We couldn't stay up for any longer. Then we woke up, and guess what? We weren't pranked. They couldn't stay up for any longer either. They fell asleep and they never woke up to prank us. So the fear of the event of us getting pranked actually became worse than the whole than us being pranked as the whole, because we stayed up until 3 so that we didn't get pranked. We weren't going to get pranked anyway, but even if we did get pranked and we just slept the whole night, we would have had a good night's sleep and we would have had enough energy to be at the church the next day. But then we were all tired at the church, so the fear of that event was actually worse than the event itself. Okay? 2 Corinthians 4 verse 16. Therefore, we do not lose heart. Though outwardly we are wasting away, yet inwardly we are renewed day by day. We don't lose heart. It's not about circumstances, and it's about what's happening inside of us. Back to Joseph. The whole getting thrown into a pit, that was also outside circumstances, yes. But happening inside of him was his gifts growing and growing and growing, and his wisdom growing. For our light and momentary troubles. Okay, so we might feel like in the time it's not light and it's not momentary. We may feel like it's going to last an eternity. We may feel like it's going to happen until the day we die. But it's light and momentary. The light and momentary troubles are working for us in eternal glory that far outweighs them all. The funny thing is, every single trouble we have is going to benefit us eventually. Just like every single trouble that Joseph had. If it wasn't for one of those troubles, any one of those troubles that he didn't have, then he wouldn't be second in command. Okay? I love telling people to employ their troubles. When you employ your trouble, that means, it's just like employing a human. If you employ a human, he works for you. Okay? And if he works for you, that means he can do what you need him to do. Now, we aren't employing our troubles under our own leadership. We're employing our troubles under God's leadership. If we employ our troubles under our own leadership, it's going to be difficult for us just to be able to understand this trouble does this trouble does this. No, we have to employ them under God's leadership. You employ your hardships, your opposition, you can even employ your disappointments. If you have any disappointments, you can employ those as well. Let the very disappointments that we face produce us glory. Okay? Ruth's husband died. Okay? That's a part of the story that most people don't think about. Then she went with Naomi. So Ruth's husband died. Okay? That's the part of the story that very few people actually think about. Okay? Ruth's husband died, and that led to Ruth and Naomi going back to Israel. Okay? When they go back to Israel, they find Jesus. Because that's Naomi's God. Ruth worshipped other gods. Now when Ruth's husband died, she decided to cling to Naomi. And she said to Naomi, where you live, I will live. Your God will be my God. Okay? Therefore, Ruth became Christian. And that part of that story as a whole, the whole book, would have never been there if Ruth's husband never died. It's a hardship that Ruth went through, and something amazing came out of it. Thank you for watching.
What an amazing word. I really hope that encouraged you and that God ministered through you through this sermon. And so, if you were listening to this message and you felt in your heart, I am actually so far from God, I don't know Him, I don't really believe in Him, He's not my personal Lord and Savior, and you would love to surrender your heart to Jesus, then I would love to ask you to type in the comments below FAR, F-A-R, and someone will connect with you to pray with you, because this is the most amazing decision you will ever make, and it's the best decision you can make. And then if you're needing prayer for anything, you're needing someone to stand with you and trust in God for whatever it is you're needing, then please type prayer in the comments below, and someone will make sure to connect with you and stand with you in prayer. Then remember, if you're watching with us on Facebook, please make sure to like or follow our Facebook page and share the content, because we want to see people being reached and we want to see the word being spread. And if you're watching with us on YouTube, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our page, and hit the bell button for our newest updates and our latest celebrations.
We've seen what you can do, oh God of wonders. Your power has no